morning. All right, so here in my PA class, we're going to go over Unit 1, Part 1. And when I say Unit 1, guys, I'm not talking about the Unit 1 that we did. All right, I'm talking about Unit 1 from the College Board AP exam, like stats curriculum. Unit 1 covers a ton of stuff. It covers the stuff we did in August, September, even a little bit into October. So today we're going to do questions talking about two-way tables. If you look here at this first table, right, we have party affiliation on this side on the left, right, and we have their decision on how they're going to vote on the top, the columns. All right, so we're going to use this two-way table about two categorical variables to answer some questions. Right, and this is from August, guys. This is a long time ago. All right, so the first one, it says, what percentage of those surveyed were Democrats? Now, the way I do this is it says of those surveyed. So the first thing I actually need to do is, if you'll notice on my table, I don't have any totals, right? I don't have like column totals. I don't have row totals. Let's get some totals here. All right, how many total Democrats are there? How many total Republicans? 200. And how many total independents? 50. All right. I always like to confirm it did tell us the total number here of 500. Does that add up to 500? Okay. Let's do another total, but total row. How many, doesn't matter what their party affiliation is, are voting for this support of this amendment? Is it 190? Definitely. You're good. It's 190? Okay. What about against? 210? Yeah, I agree. And then no opinion? 100. Does that add up, if you add up those three numbers, to 500? Yes. It does, yes. So the grand total being 500, right? That matches. All right, so when it says what percentage of those surveyed, what's going to be my denominator? 500 is right. Okay. And how many were Democrats out of those 500? 250. Probably don't need a calculator for this one. 250 out of 500 is 50%. Questions on number one? Everybody okay with that? Okay. Let's go to number two. What percentage of those surveyed were for the amendment and were Republicans? So of those surveyed, my first thought is, what's my denominator for this question? Of those surveyed, the denominator, 500, right? I always do that first. If you want to do the numerator first, Alonzo, that's fine. I just always like to do the denominator. If you remember back in August, I used to read this question like, what percentage of those surveyed? Remember, I would be like silly, trying to help you understand the denominator. Okay? So now I look at my table. I'm looking for the amendment and Republican. So for the amendment, it is this column, and Republican is 125. So that is my numerator. All right? Does anybody know what that is? We can use the calculator if you want, but you know what that is? It's 25%. Questions on number two? Okay. Number three. What percentage of independents had no opinion? So now I have a new denominator. What's going to be my denominator? It's the independents, which is 50. Very good. So when you do this question now, I'm only focused on the independent row, right? So that row where it says independent, because it says of independents. And is it said no opinion? Is that what it said? Yeah. So then I look at this. 25 said no opinion. So what's 25 out of 50? 50%.
Yeah. Can you stop screaming, sir? You can't concentrate. No, I'm just like.
Joke's on him. He just got that recording of Joshua being mean to the teacher. All right. Number 4. What percentage of those against the amendment were Democrats? So the first thing I think is, how many are against the amendment? against the amendment. Against. 210. So now I'm just looking at the column for against. All right, this is 210. And it says out of this column, how many were Democrats? 150. So 150 out of 210. I don't know that one. But is it E? I'll make sure just because if people are, well, no, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say because if people are at home or like just want to see it if they're watching this, I try to keep my credibility with the YouTube community. What was that? Okay. All right, number 5. Voters of which affiliation were most likely to have no opinion about the amendment? Now, this one is a little tricky. All right, this is not getting into what, if you watch the video of me doing number 10 on the free response section where I kind of go into detail on this, right? I did with my P3 class this morning. But if you look at this one, it's really getting into the relationship between these two variables. All right, remember we've got party affiliation and how they're going to vote on this budget amendment. Okay, so what students do incorrectly here is they start looking at all of it as totals. But the way you want to do this when you view the table, right, is you want to look at based on their party affiliation. So what I did is I calculated, all right, for just the Democrats, I'll do it here. So just the Democrats. How many Democrats were there? 250. And how many said they would vote no opinion? 50. Okay. And what is that as a percentage? 20%? I think it's 20%. Let's confirm. Is it? Look at that. Thank you. How many Republicans were there? 200. And how many said they'd have no opinion? 25 out of 200. It is exactly 12.5%. All right, Benjamin. Maybe this is a good seed for you. All right. And then for independents, how many total independents were there? Was it 50 independents? Yeah. And how many said that they would vote no opinion? 25. And what's that one? 50%. So when the question says, voters of which affiliation were most likely to have no opinion about the amendment, you can look at those 3. Are any of them equal? No. Which one is the highest? The independent. So that is going to be my choice for those that are more likely to vote no opinion. Any questions on 1 through 5? That finishes 1 through 5. I'm going to do 6 through 9 here in a second. All right, and then we'll stop this video to do another one. I'm recording, Joshua, so all that you said is on the recording. All right, let's go to number 6. Now, it's been a long time since we've done something about this. If I'm honest, I don't think any of you would be honest with me saying that you read the chapter for chapter 3. And even if you had read it, that would have been in August, so you probably don't remember. But the example that's similar to this was about the Titanic. All right, there was an example in the chapter about the class of ticket on the Titanic. Do you guys know the Titanic? I'm just assuming you know the story of the Titanic. So the class of ticket, first class, second class, third class, and whether they died or not. And there was a relationship. Do you guys know the relationship between people that had a better chance of surviving the Titanic? They were first class, right? All right. And then it talks about between male and female, and females were more likely to survive. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that this right here is called a segmented bar chart. Okay? And the way you want to read it, and I'll just do the northeast one right here. Okay? What percentage of the people in this study said that they prefer pop or rock? 50%. Everybody go with that? What percentage, I'll do it again, of the northeast, what percentage of people in the northeast in this study said that they would prefer pop or rock? And that's 50%. Okay? What percentage in that same region are preferring country? I'd say just shy of it though, because that's 50. It doesn't make it to 75. I'd say it's more like 20 to 23%, 22%. So you just look at that distance, all right? And then whatever's left would be for classical, would be probably, just over 25, like 27, 28. Everybody good? That's how you read those, okay? So, number 6. What percentage of those surveyed from the Northeast prefer country music? All right, I think we actually just said it as we're going through it. Was it about 20, 25? Or not, we said it wasn't 25, right? It's going to be shy of 25. So which one are you going to choose? I'm going to use 20. But probably I would go with 22, 23. 30 is too much, right? If it's 30, this has got to get to 80, right? This starts at 50. It's got to get up into the 80s. Okay? Let's do the next one. Which of the following is greatest? The percentage of those from the Northeast who prefer classical. Let's give an idea here. So classical, what did we say this percentage is for classical Northeast? I mean, I would definitely say it's past 25. So I'd say 28%, 27%. All right, now go to the West, and it says West who prefer country. So what about this one for country? What do you guys think this low one is? 40? You think 40? To 80? Can I say 40%? Roughly 40%. Okay. And then from the South, who prefer pop or rock? 30%? It's a little above 20. 30%? So which one is the greatest? It says the above, are they all equal? No. Is it impossible to determine this? No, it says percentages. You'll notice essentially what they're trying to get you to answer with E would be if they asked this question that said, which number is the greatest? Because they'll try to trick you on the AP exam by saying number as opposed to percentage. Because do I know how many people are in this study from each region? No. So even though this percentage is higher, it may not be more people, right? If there are only 50 people from the West, but there are 2 million people from the Northeast, then that's obviously a bigger number. Okay? So just be careful on that, right? If you're talking about segmented bar charts, really should be with percentages. Okay, let's do 8. Percentage of those over the Northeast who prefer pop and rock. I think that one's pretty easy. That one's 50%. From the West who prefer classical. What do you guys think here? West for classical? 20%? Maybe 22%? 21%? Okay. And the South who prefer country? Well, 30 to 90, 60%? Seems like a lot. Guess that makes sense in the South. I mean, probably in general, yes. Most of the musicians that perform country are Southern. All right, so which one's the greatest? C. All right, one more, and then we'll finish this video. We'll pause for a second to do another video. Not today. No second vars today. But maybe by the end of the week, we'll do a second vars, because we'll talk about the normal model. Well, luckily, you are almost done. I mean, you have 2 weeks and 3 days, and then you're done. Unless you take stats in college. Okay, number 9. Based on this given segmented bar chart, does there seem to be a relationship between the geographical location, so the Northeast, the West, or the South, and music preference? Now, here's what I'm trying to get you guys to know. This is what they might ask you on the AP exam. From chapter 3, right? I didn't make a huge deal about this, but I'm putting it here on the review to remind you that if you look at these segmented bar charts, if there was no relationship, okay, I'll repeat this. If there was no relationship between these two variables, then these segmented bar charts should look identical or almost identical, okay? If they were independent, they would look the same. Do those segmented bar charts look the same in terms of these 3 different segments? No, right? No, I can't even find one segment that's all even close to being the same, right? I think it's You'd be like, oh, maybe that's close, but then the country in West is way bigger than the percentage of people in the Northeast who prefer country. And then I think even greater disparity there in the South. Okay? So the fact that these are not the same means that there is a relationship between these two variables. So if you read the answers, right, does there seem to be a relationship? The answer is going to be yes. Okay? Because the segmented bar charts are not the same. So A is going to be the answer. Now, if you read B, the heights are the same. Guys, all the heights will be the same, right? You should be going from 0 to 100%. Letter C is similar. It says because there are 3 segments and 3 bars, right? It could have 5 segments. It could have 2 segments. It doesn't matter, all right? It just means how many categories there are. So that's why there is a relationship between these two.